Hey everybody, welcome back to New Stuff TV, your spot for infotainment for the average consumer. You know, now that I've had some real quality time to spend with the Hisense 65-inch U7SG, I've come to one conclusion. Once you get past that $1,200 mark for a 65-inch TV, there's really no such thing as a bad TV. And right now, the 65-inch U7SG is selling for about $1,500. And let me tell you, for that price, I feel like you're really getting a lot. Now let's start with the first thing that caught my attention when we first unboxed it, and that's that anti-glare layer they have on the front of it. I've stood in front of TVs that you could literally stand in front of while you're getting ready for work. I'm talking shaving, brushing teeth, and combing hair and everything. But this TV, it gives you a ton of flexibility when it comes to where you set it up, as far as where your windows are and where your lights are, because it completely destroys and dissipates reflections. But then we get to move into upscaling, which is where a TV can kind of upgrade the picture from an old show or not so pretty show and still make it pretty and watchable, like almost 4K. This TV does a good job. I got a chance to watch one of my comfort shows, which is Two Broke Girls. Man, that show is absolutely hilarious, especially if you have like a childish sense of humor like I do. Now this show is actually on the Roku app, which doesn't have the highest streaming quality, so that's where that upscaling really does come in clutch. I think the U7SG does a pretty good job of upscaling the picture to make it look quality, like at least 1080p. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't even think it comes in on the Roku app at 1080p. And I think most people are going to really enjoy watching sports and movies on it too. Now, if you watch our unboxing video, I did share with you a few techniques or tips where I talk about my motion settings and some of my picture settings to get you started so you can start watching, quality TV and have a quality picture on there. I even talked about some of my brightness settings so you can tweak them and get more contrast so you can have a more cinematic look when you're watching in movies. Now, as far as brightness goes, I only have experience with Hisense's good stuff, like the U6 series, the U7, and the U8 series. And I'm gonna tell you right now, they've never let me down in the brightness department. And the U7SG is no exception to that standard that they've set, especially when you combine it with that anti-glare layer. Man, so much flexibility. I can't stress that enough. Like when you have a house that has a lot of windows or some overhead lights that are in the worst position possible, having a TV like this with the capable brightness levels and that anti-glare layer on the front, you can put it anywhere and you're going to be happy watching the TV, and you don't have to be annoyed by some window blaring on the side of the screen or a light up top just annoying the hell out of you. Now, every time I talk about brightness, I always follow up by talking about how you need to be able to control it. And just because you have the capability, that doesn't mean you need to be using it at full brightness all the time. So there will be some times you find you might need to actually tone it down a bit. And that's where those extra dimming zones come in clutch over the previous year's model. Now let's jump into the sound. Now I told you, I only got experience with the U6s, 7s, and 8s. And their sound system and setups have never ceased to amaze me. Now, for those of you who have bought the $400 like 85-inch Hisense TV at Black Friday or something like that, dude, that was a personal choice. That's on you. Now let's continue into that 2.1.2 sound setup, which is actually tuned by Debulet, which is a premium, like super premium audio company, man. That's pretty cool that they partnered up with them. They do have some presets in the TV that you can just choose from, and my advice is to actually choose one of those presets and then jump into those deeper settings and unlock the surround and the bass and maybe even go into the EQ and then unlock some of those Atmos settings as well. The TV is pretty good by itself, but my advice is to later on attach it to a soundbar. That way you can get a wider, more rich sound to fill out, the picture. Like you want that sound to follow that beautiful picture that you're going to get. But this system that's on board will tide you over until you can save up the coins to get yourself a soundbar. Now they did manage to give you 4 HDMI 2.1 inputs. So I don't want to hear nobody complaining about where to plug your stuff into. Now, speaking of plugging stuff in, I did manage to have some time to plug up my PS5 and do some gaming on it. My experience was actually really smooth and fun, of course, but not only did they future-proof this thing with 4 HDMI 2.1s, but you also get up to 165 Hz refresh rates on it. For this next aspect of the TV, I was completely prepared to give this portion a negative mark. but they actually did surprise me by making it a little bit better than the last version's TV, and that is the viewing angles. And for those of y'all who don't know what that is, that's where, like, you know, you sit in the front of the TV, everything's perfect, right? But then you kind of sit off to the side a little bit to the left or too far to the right, and you notice those colors start to shift. You know, the people's skin starts looking weird and it starts getting washed out. Those are viewing angles, right? And I was actually very surprised by how far I could go off to the left or right before that started to happen, which is, to me, it's an upgrade from last year's model. In fact, I think most average people are going to be very satisfied with the viewing angles of this TV. So if you got an open concept house, it's going to give you a good experience. Now, it's not going to be as good as those with, you know, that cost like almost 2 times as much. But this TV is really solid when it comes to viewing angles, and I was actually surprised by that. So good job, Hisense. Now, the U7SG is actually going to be sitting right in the middle of Hisense's OLED series, which is pretty much their top tier of TVs, right? And at this tier, this price bracket, you're actually getting their best work at an average consumer price that, you know, regular people can actually afford. And this is the 3rd version of this TV that I've actually had, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gotten a little bit better with every single version. Now, at the end of the day, I'm just a regular dude who likes to watch movies and TV shows. And if my budget was capped out at $1,500, the U7SG is something I would be taking a look at. Now, I appreciate y'all coming to hang out with me, but now it's time for y'all to go. So keep being good to each other, and I'll see you when I see you.